أعز المرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين سيما بقية الله روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. آمنا بالله. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآله. Dear Mu'mineen and Mu'minat, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Condolences on the martyrdom anniversary of Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba alayhi afdalu salawat wa tahiyyat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst the sincere lovers and followers of Ahlul Bayt, especially as we know that they were the source of knowledge. They were the translators and those who explained the Quran. Therefore, it urges us as their followers that we learn from their fountain of knowledge, and we are wise followers of Ahlul Bayt salawatullah wa salamu alayhim. We are informed Muslims and not, God forbid, ignorant Muslims. Last week, if you recall, I posed some questions about our faith and some questions about the core principles of our faith. And I also mentioned how important it is that as Muslims we are not blind followers. Quran clearly condemns those who blindly follow. They follow their ancestors, they follow their parents, they say this is what we found our parents to be on, and therefore we وَإِنَّ عَلَىٰ آثَارِهِمْ, we are following their footsteps. Whatever they said, whatever they did, Quran condemns that. And therefore, as a Muslim, as a follower of Ahlul Bayt, I need to be informed. I cannot be simply following my ancestors. In fact, I have a lot of admiration for those who accept Islam through their own journey of faith, journey in search of truth. Those people, I wouldn't say no better than all Muslims, but no better than many Muslims, believe it or not. Because they have taken that journey upon themselves to search for truth, and when they found it through logic and reasoning, they adhered to it, they accepted, and they became firm in their faith, those people would have it a lot easier, believe it or not, than many Muslims who die and the angel of death comes, or the angel of questioning, Munkar and Nakir, come after the angel of death and start asking them questions, and they're like, perhaps I'm saying, this is my, what I'm suggesting, ask the scholar that I used to pray behind, or ask my marja, or ask, but that's not how it works. Or ask the Imam of Ahlul Bayt, who's your Imam? All of these questions need to be understood so that we have deep faith, not shallow faith. Coming to some of the details of what we discussed last week, I want us to reflect on a couple of concepts, inshallah, in the time that we have before we get into the majlis for tonight, commemorating the martyrdom of Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba salawatullah wa salamu alayhi. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. One of the discussions is regarding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His sifat. The attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As muwahhideen, as monotheist people, we believe there is one and only one God. Yes? I would like to have this session and these sessions in the future, inshallah, a little more leaning towards a dialogue. So if you have any questions during the talk, please let me know. And if you have suggestions or clarifications, or if I'm taking us the wrong way, maybe you want to correct me, by all means, please. So we are believers in one and only one God. Then what happens to the sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sifat, and we categorize them. We say He has two types of sifat. Sifat which we call al-kamaliyya and sifat al-jalaliyya. Sifat al-kamaliyya, we consider them to be the ones, and these are only labels or titles we give certain concepts, just so that we understand. Kamal is perfection. He is the absolute perfection. And all of the sifat that are kamaliyah are describing His perfect essence. On the contrary, we have sifat, so we have the ones that are thubutiyya, and we have the ones that are salbiyya. The ones that are jalaliyya, it's salb, to say that negation of any imperfection. Thank you, Hasan. So those sifat al-kamaliyya, to confirm any attribute that describes His perfection. On the other hand, we have sifat as-salbiyya, or al-jalaliyya it's called, which are to negate, as-salb is to negate any imperfection from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those two types of sifat we have. So all of these sifat, are they dividing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So is He sometimes Rahman, sometimes Alim, sometimes Qadir? Is that the case? We have to understand that if we divide, or if we even do wasf, according to Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah wa salamu alayhi, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, in a very beautiful statement, in fact, part of the very first sermon that Sharif al-Radi compiled, in the first statement, He says, وَكَمَالُ الْإِخْلَاصِ لَهُ نَفْيُ الصِّفَاتِ عَنْهُ. Ikhlas, sincerity, the complete sincerity is to negate any sifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then he says, لِشَهَادَةِ or بِشَهَادَةِ كُلِّ صِفَةٍ أَنَّهَا غَيْرُ الْمَوْصُوفِ. Because every sifa, every description that you give is different to the described as a concept. وشهادة كل موصوف أنه غير الصفة فمن وصفه سبحانه فقد قرنه. Whoever is describing him is then making him, qareen is one like something else. ومن قرنه فقد ثناه ومن ثناه فقد عده ومن عده فقد جزأه ومن جزأه فقد جهله. He describes, Amir al-Mu'mineen, the situation of ignorance of those who do not understand the Tawheed in its reality. The fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one and only one. And all of the sifat are aynul that. They are the essence itself. We cannot divide Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like one that I mentioned last week, if you recall, one that says Allah is in the heavens and His knowledge is everywhere. What happened there? What is wrong with that statement? What do you think is wrong with that statement? He's not everywhere. And His knowledge is separate from Him, yeah? He has divided Him and His knowledge. So His knowledge is one, He is one. He's separate. He's in the heavens and... وَالْعَيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. This is the same school that say He descends on Thursday night, He descends to the lowest heaven. Yeah, they have that. And one of their scholars, he says, He comes down from one heaven to another like I come down from the steps of my mimbar. This jahil, ignorant. Okay, so he thinks of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala residing in the highest heaven. And he thinks in the journey of Mi'raj. I want us to reflect on that. When we say the journey of Mi'raj, my questions for my dear brothers and sisters, is it uruj in the literal sense that the Prophet ﷺ went up somewhere? So we know Isra is from Masjid al-Haram to Masjid al-Aqsa. What about Mi'raj? What was Mi'raj? Ascension, yes? Is it literally ascension? That's a question. So he's getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a physical sense? Is that what it is? فَكَانَ قَابَ قَوْسَيْنِ أَوْ أَدْنَى. Closer to the two sides of the bow. The bow and, the two sides of it. قَابَ قَوْسَيْنِ. Is that what it means? Literal sense? وَالْعَيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. We cannot ever think of it in that sense. Yeah. Yes. رَفَعَهُ اللَّهُ بَلْ رَفَعَهُ اللَّهُ إِلَيْهِ. It's not, it is to come up from the physical world, okay, to the realm of spirits. مِنَ الْمُلْكِ إِلَى الْمَلَكُوتِ. So it's an ascension in its spiritual sense. It is ma'na musta'ar. Okay, it's not that this is exactly what we mean, that he traveled up towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is up in the heaven. وَالْعَيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. What about the fact that he's أَقْرَبُ إِلَيَّ Min habl al-warid, he's closer to me than the jugular vein. So what is this? It's not an ascension in that sense. We have to understand that. Man jazza'ahu, we cannot say that he is there and not here. We cannot say that his knowledge is here, or today his rahmah, but tomorrow his naqmah, for example. So what happened? His sifat is part of his essence, are not something we could divide. So that is something we have to understand. Anybody who thinks of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a way that divides him or describes him in a way that even with his sifat, we have to understand that when we say Allahul Alim, it doesn't mean he's the same as when I say Fulan is Alim. If I say Fulan is Kareem, does it mean the same thing as when I say Allah al-Kareem? Is it the same? It is not the same. ليس كمثله شيء ولم يكن له كفوا أحد, or kufuwan ahad. Both recitations are correct. There is nothing like him, nothing equal to him, nothing of. So when we say someone is Kareem, someone is Jawad, or someone is Rahim even, it doesn't mean the same as the Rahim that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, we derive those characteristics from his beauty, from his characteristics, but not in the sense that it is the same. It is a whole different level. That's what we have to understand. We cannot make anyone like him, and we cannot make anything like him. That he has a hand or a face, according to the school of Ahlul Bayt. If you believe in a physical creator, in a physical God, you are a mushrik. Yes. Al. That's one of the reasons. Al. Yes. That al is also to say that the concept belongs to him. When we say, for example, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Alhamd. What is the translation of Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen? Typical translation. All praise belongs, yes, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why all praise? Alhamd is the praise. Why do we say all praise? Because we are saying the concept, Alhamd as a concept. The whole concept belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore, anything that is worthy of being praised, that real praise belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anything, absolutely anything. This is the real tawheed. But not to get to the other extreme where people start thinking that they are a madhar of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, that wahdat al-wujud that some suggested. Obviously, some misunderstood some of these scholars, but some of these scholars did go to certain extremes. That they say, Ana al-haq, yeah? Hallaj vashanim, ka az dar natarsim. The Mansur Hallaj, they say that he said, I am haq. I am a madhar of haq. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In any case, he was executed because of his statement. He was asked to revoke his statement. He did not, and as a result, he was executed. In any case, some went to an extreme to say everything is, wal-'ayadu billah, is God. And everyone is God. That they think that this is Tawheed. It is different to say, like the other poet who says, I look at the ocean, I see you. I look at the mountain, I see you. I look at anything and everything around me, I see you. It doesn't mean I see you in the physical sense, that this ocean is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wal-'ayadu billah. No, it simply means these are, or these things and ourselves and everything exist through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is madhar of the Creator. It is a display of His magnificent creation. Not that it is Him. No. Wal-'ayadu billah. The same thing comes when we come to the concept of al-qada wal-qadar. Some people, so part of the Tawheed is to believe in the essence being one. Sifat being part of the essence. Then the third one is al-af'al. Nisbatul af'al ila Allah. So we say everything exists through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And every action happens through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes? If He doesn't permit something to happen, can it happen? It cannot happen. And therefore, some Muslims who did not have Ahlul Bayt, they got it wrong for centuries, until about 1,000 years later, some Western philosophers came and described or explained the equilibrium between the fact that everything exists and every action is instigated from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the fact that we have the free will and we are the ones who decide on our actions. You see, we have two concepts. These people came and explained it because the rest of the Muslim world who did not have Ahlul Bayt, they lacked a very simple statement from Ahlul Bayt, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, when he said, in a very simple, very short statement, لا جبر ولا تفويض ولكن أمر بين الأمرين. Neither Jabr nor Tafweed, but a middle path. So let's understand what is Jabr and what is Tafweed. Some people came and said that Af'al, because they are monotheists, they have Tawheed, so they became Muwahhid beyond what it should be. And I'll explain. So they said the Sifat all is Aynul Dhat. Af'al Aynul Dhat. Therefore, He is the source of every action. Therefore, our action are decided by, what is their suggestion? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He decides on my actions. And I have no choice. Because they think if I have a choice, I am claiming that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is weak. His sultan is not complete. And therefore, according to them, His complete sultan, complete power, means nobody has a choice. What is wrong with that? Immediately, the whole concept of thawab and iqab make no sense. Immediately, the concept of paradise and hellfire make no sense. Why? Because He is making the decisions for me. Why is He then punishing me? Why is He rewarding the good doers and punishing the wrongdoers? It's His decision, according to these people, obviously. Then another group came and said, no, you got it wrong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala فوض الأمور إلى خلقه. He gave the complete control to the creature, to the created. In other words, I decide and he has no control over it. Is there a problem here? Huh? Yes, obviously. Because now we are making Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala limited. We're putting some sort of limitations for him. We're saying he does not have control over certain things. He created it, and then it almost like the movies that they have about robotics. You know, they have, when they have certain movies that show the modern day robots or the future robots, some of, what do you call it, science fiction movies or something. So they show some robots that were made by humans, but eventually started having a mind of its own, and then through artificial intelligence, it makes its own decisions and then rebelled against humans, and humans had no control over it whatsoever. And so many of these movies have been made. So they are describing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as limited as a human making a robot. Wal-'ayadhu billah. And that makes absolute no sense. Because He is ala kulli shay'in qadir. He has all power over all things. There is no limit to His power. And therefore we cannot make such a suggestion that He created us and He gave us the right to make our own decisions and choices to the extreme that He has no control over it anymore. That is incorrect. So how do we understand this? That is the amran bayn al-amrayn that Ahlul Bayt salawatullah wa salamu alayhim teach us. So they say, at the same time as the fact that He gave us the decision making, He gave us the right to make it. In the hadith, when somebody came and asked Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, are we mujbar? The Imam said to him, when you go to a crossroads, when you drive back home now, you get to the gates, yes? Past the gates, you get to the main street. Now you have to make a decision. Do you turn right or left? Depends where your home is from here, yes? Who makes that decision? You make the decision, yes? We make the decision. The Imam says to him, when you get to the crossroads, do you make the decision? He says, yes. He says, that means you're not mujbar. Simple. Then the Imams also told us this is one of the secrets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these are not easy to comprehend. So you have to understand that it's amran bayn al-amrayn. If you're confused, don't think too much over it. If you are one of those who have been given wisdom, وَمَن يُؤْتَ الْحِكْمَةَ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. Whoever is given wisdom has been given a lot of goodness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يُؤْتِ الْحِكْمَةَ مَن يَشَاءُ. He gives wisdom. If you have been given the wisdom to understand the concept for what it is, all well and good. If you are confused, you just need to understand that neither are you forced by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make any decision, nor is your decision free from the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala completely. That it is not a case where He has no control or power over it. In simple terms, just so that we understand it better, He's given us the right to make decisions, and He has permitted that our decision, it is His permission that our decision are the determiner of the next step. So we escape from His qada to His qadar. This is part of what He has decreed and what He destined. And so we can travel between those two. This is again a very tricky concept. If you cannot get your head around it, it is sufficient that you understand that you have the right to choose and God has full control over it. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, قُلْ كُلٌّ مِّنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. Everything is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Good and bad that happens to you is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then He says in the next ayah, whatever good happens to you is through His mercy. فَمِنَ Allah. Whatever evil happens to you, although it is from Him, but it's because of what you have earned for yourself. فَبِمَا كَسَبَتْ أَيْدِيكُمْ. And He forgives وَيَعْفُ عَنْ كَثِيرًا. He forgives a lot. If He was to punish us for everything that we do, nothing would exist. Nobody would live. Nobody would breathe the next breath. It is يَعْفُ عَنْ كَثِيرًا. He forgives a lot. It is through His mercy that everything good happens. And any evil that strikes us is through our own actions. Again and again, we need to understand that not everything bad means evil. And I'll explain what I mean. If I get sick, it's not necessarily a result of a sin. It could be, but it could be a further purification and a path of ascension. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala strikes some people with bala to raise their status. Ahlul Bayt salawatullah wa salamu alayhim were struck with bala to raise their status. Not that they did something, so it is not evil that is happening to them. This is bala. What is meant by وَمَا أَصَابَكَ مِنْ سَيِّئَةٍ, that evil that is meant in the ayah is when one through his own hands ends up committing sins and getting into the real evil acts. That is because of their own actions. There's no compulsion. No one has put any force over them to commit evil. And no one can blame his evil on someone else. Because he said, He did not direct me, and so on. On the day of judgment, there are people that say that they speak about those who led them to be amongst the sinners. وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ اتَّبَعُوا لِلَّذِينَ اتُّبِعُوا. Or وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ اتُّبِعُوا initially لِلَّذِينَ اتَّبَعُوا. It is you who made us. Then the response comes, no, you made your decisions. It's like shaitan. كَمَثَلِ الشَّيْطَانِ إِذْ قَالَ لِلْإِنسَانِ كْفُرْ فَلَمَّا كَفَرَ قَالَ إِنِّي بَرِيءٌ مِّنْكَ. He says to humans, disbelieve, be unappreciative, al-kufr. And then when he does the kufr, shaitan says, I have nothing to do with you. It is your own choice. You made your decisions. There were certain people around Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. They met the Prophet and they lived in his time. They heard his voice. They saw his holy face. They saw him praying and reciting the Quran. Listen to his beautiful recitation of the Holy Quran. He was there to explain the Quran to them. Yet, because they did not purify, and because they did not detach from dunya, and because they continued in their path of evil, بِمَا كَسَبَتْ أَيْدِيكُمْ, they continued earning nothing but sins for themselves. As a result, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows them, وَنُمْلِي لَهُمْ, gives them respite, gives them time. Continue in your evil acts. One of those is the father of one of the wives of Imam Hasan alayhi salam. Al-Ash'ath was the father of Ju'da or Ja'da bint al-Ash'ath, the wife of Imam Hasan alayhi salam. He entered Islam during the life of the Prophet. He came with his tribe, or with some men of his tribe, 80 men according to some narrations, and submitted to Islam. Yet he had his problems, his arguments, even at the time of Rasulullah. Soon after that, continued, despite having the best chances, being in the time of the Prophet, then the time of Amirul Mu'mineen. None of that helped him. Al-Ash'ath became one who would give Imam Amirul Mu'mineen in Kufa such hard time. Part of the people that the Imam says, "You have filled my heart, لَقَدْ مَلَأْتُمْ قَلْبِي قَيْحًا," with sourness. These are the people. Why? Because Amirul Mu'mineen is inviting them to take the journey to Allah and detach from dunya, but they're too attached to their dunya. And this is one of the men. Eventually he becomes a man, a leader in the Khawarij. Eventually he helps the one who strikes Imam Hasan alayhi salam, Imam Amirul Mu'mineen. He helps the one who strikes him. أشقى الآخرين يتبع أشقى الأولين. He helps him in committing the crime and the sin that he committed, and helps him in assassinating Amirul Mu'mineen salawatullah wa salamu alayhi. This is Ash'ath. And through his children, you see the wars. One of them responsible for the blood of Muslim, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, tells his brother Muhammad ibn al-Ash'ath, he says, "Anta akha akhuk," you are the brother of your brother, referring to the one who was responsible for Muslim ibn Aqil. He says to him, "Is it not enough of you from the blood of Bani Hashim killing Muslim that you have come now and you want to fight us?" Then he says to the Imam, "Why don't you accept the Khilafah of Yazid, la'natullah alayhi?" Then Imam gives him his statement, the famous statement when he says, "La wallah, I will not give the hand of a humiliated person. Never." These people, one and second, and one of them, the daughter of Al-Ash'ath, this Ja'da, in the house of Amirul Mu'mineen. Though some Muslims who tried to wash the hands of the cursed Muawiyah of the poisoning of Imam Hasan alayhi salam, they say it was simply a family issue. But historians from their own books, the school of, other than the school of Ahlul Bayt, historians have clearly said that his wife committed was what she committed with the encouragement and the money promise and the promise of marrying the cursed Yazid by Muawiyah la'natullah alayh. So eventually these are the people who did not ever understand Tawheed or the justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or the day of judgment, didn't understand these. The wife of the Imam, she had the opportunity to live with the Imam, to be with him for about 10 years, historians say. Yet, eventually she puts the poison in the food of the Imam when he was fasting. Salamullah alayh. Sallallahu alayk ya Aba Muhammad, ya Hasan ibn Ali, أيها المجتبى يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. كريم أهل البيت, he is the generous one in the family of Rasulullah. Oh Allah, by this Imam, help us be amongst those who follow them the right way, Ya Allah. Those who have hajat, by this Imam, Ya wajihan عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. He was given the poison after a long day of fasting. The Imam immediately realized through the burning deep within him that he was poisoned, asked her to leave him, did not want her to be around anymore. Then he asked for Imam Hasan to be called to his room. Imam Hussein comes, sees his brother in that situation. He sees Imam Hasan struggling to breathe in so much pain. Then he asked for a bucket. Narrators say that the Imam started coughing the blood of his heart, coughing and throwing so much blood. Imam Hussein was in tears. My dear brother, the last one for me from our family, from Ahlul Bayt, from Ashab al-Kisa. Imam Hussein knows after Imam Hassan he will be all alone. He cries and cries. Imam Hassan says to him, Ya Hussein, oh Hussein, hawwan alayk. Easy today, there is no day like yours, Ya Hussein. إلا يومك يومك يا أبا عبد الله. Some narrate that Zainab came. When she came, Imam asked to hide the bucket. It is not time for her to see the blood. She will have a day in which she sees so much blood from one after the other from the family of Rasulullah. Afterwards, when the Imam was martyred, when he departed this world, they took him based on his wasiyah. He says to Imam Hussein, oh my dear brother, when I depart, bury me next to my grandfather Rasulullah. But if the cursed ones do not allow you, then bury me in Baqi and do not shed blood for my sake, O Hussein. As soon as the Imam was martyred, they did not respect the grandson of Rasulullah. When they were bringing him to the house of Rasulullah to be buried next to him. One of the enemies, Marwan, the cursed one, the one who was cursed by Rasulullah before even he was born. He comes and he opposes, then he goes and brings one of the wives of the Prophet. He tells her they are trying to bury Hasan there. He gives her his own donkey and he says, ride quickly to not allow that. Then they make the body of Imam Hasan the target of the arrows. Body target of the arrow so much that the blood came out of the kafan of Imam Hasan alayhi salam. This is a day, but there is no day like your day, Ya Aba Abdullah. With the body on the plains of Karbala, the target of the cursed ones, some of them with the arrows, some of them with the sword, some of them with the rocks, some of them with the daggers, bil khanajir. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون. والعاقبة للمتقين. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم إلهي بمحمد وعلي وفاطمة والحسن والحسين وبالتسعة المعصومين من ذرية الحسين. استجب دعواتنا يا الله. O Allah, answer the prayers of mu'mineen and mu'minat. O Allah, give us all the opportunity to be in obedience to you, far from disobedience, Ya Allah. O Allah, give the quick recovery to all the patients from mu'mineen and mu'minat. O Allah, give the relief to all those in difficulty around the world, Ya Allah. O Allah, give us all the good ending, husnul aqibati, Ya Allah. O Allah, give the mercy to all the souls of mu'mineen and mu'minat who passed away from our ancestors, from our gathering, from those who prepared for these majalis, their ancestors, Ya